The distant stars flickered in the vastness of space as an alien fleet, led by Commander Xelthar, moved closer to an unknown galaxy. The aliens, a powerful and technologically advanced race, had conquered countless worlds. Their fleet was a terrifying sight, a collection of massive ships armed with weapons capable of obliterating entire planets. The aliens were used to dominance. To them, no species had ever posed a real threat. They believed they were the masters of the universe, until now. In the heart of the fleet, a holographic map glowed, displaying the human galaxy. Xelthar and his crew had never encountered humanity before, but they had heard rumors of a primitive species on a small blue planet. It was far from their path, hidden at the edge of their empire. The aliens had only come for the stars in the system, assuming that human forces wouldn't pose any real danger. The humans, they thought, were weak. They were nothing more than insects in the grand scheme of the galaxy. Xelthar leaned forward, his eyes scanning the stars. "Prepare for entry into human space. I want a full survey of the system. We take what we want and destroy the rest." The crew responded with their usual quiet efficiency. The alien fleet moved into human space, its engines thrumming with power. There was no fear, no hesitation, just the certainty of conquest. As the ships moved deeper into the human galaxy, the reality of the aliens' power became undeniable. They had faced countless species, always emerging victorious, never once second-guessing their strength. But something was different here. As they approached the edge of the human star system, an unknown signal suddenly burst through their communications channel. A message from a human warship. Xelthar raised an eyebrow. A message from a human ship. He motioned for the transmission to be played. The message was short, just a few words, but they sent a shiver down his spine. "Do not approach. You have no idea who you are dealing with." Xelthar stared at the screen, his expression unreadable. That was unexpected. He waved his hand, signaling the fleet to continue. "Prepare for arrival at the system's core. Let them see the might of our fleet." The fleet continued its journey, but something was brewing in the back of Xelthar's mind. He dismissed the message as a weak warning, but the voice, though defiant, lingered. The humans had no idea what they were about to face, or so he thought. As the fleet entered the heart of the human system, they encountered the first signs of human technology. A small, unassuming ship on the edge of the system's orbit. It was a human warship, large and imposing, but still, it appeared primitive in comparison to the alien ships. Xelthar's lips curled into a confident smile. He activated the communication system, ready to send a warning of their own. But as soon as he did, the human ship responded. This time, the message was not a threat, but a challenge. "We don't negotiate. We fight." Xelthar's confidence faltered. He had underestimated the humans, and it was already too late to turn back. The alien fleet continued its course, but now, they were on the verge of a conflict they never saw coming. The battle was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea how outmatched they truly were. The silence of space was broken by the hum of the alien fleet as it moved deeper into human territory. The fleet was massive, a collection of enormous ships that stretched across the stars like a shadow, casting a dark pall over the planets below. Commander Xelthar stood at the front of his flagship, the Nezoth, watching the stars flicker past the view screen. His mind was focused on the mission ahead. An easy conquest. But as the fleet approached the heart of human space, Xelthar's confidence began to falter. He had expected to find a world of weaklings, barely able to defend themselves. Instead, they had encountered strange technology and a hint of something more dangerous lurking behind the human defenses. The first sign of trouble came when they encountered the human warship, the U.S. Valor. At first glance, it seemed like a primitive vessel. Smaller than the alien ships, it appeared insignificant, just another ship patrolling the system. But as the alien fleet moved closer, something didn't feel right. The U.S. Valor didn't retreat, didn't hesitate. It simply hovered, waiting. "Commander, the human ship is not moving. It is just staring," reported one of Zelfar's officers, the tension evident in his voice. Zelfar narrowed his eyes. "Let them stare. We'll show them what it means to challenge us." The alien fleet continued its approach, the massive ships moving in a formation that was designed to overwhelm. They expected the human ship to flee or, at best, put up a weak resistance. What they didn't expect was the sudden activation of human weapons. Without warning, the U.S. Valor fired. A blinding flash of light shot out, a beam of energy that struck one of the alien destroyers. The alien ship exploded in a fireball, breaking apart in seconds. The fleet stood stunned, and for a brief moment, Zelfar felt the stirrings of doubt. "Impossible," Zelfar muttered, his voice low. The humans weren't supposed to be capable of this kind of power. How could their ship, so small, destroy one of their finest vessels in a single shot? But there was no time to dwell on that. The alien fleet retaliated with a volley of plasma fire. The U.S. Valor moved swiftly, darting between the beams, evading the fire with ease. The humans didn't run. They fought back, with every shot from their warship seeming to find its mark. The alien ships tried to regroup, but the U.S. Valor was too fast, too unpredictable. Zelfar's eyes widened in disbelief as another alien destroyer was hit, its systems short-circuiting before it exploded in a fiery cloud. "This is not how it was supposed to be," he growled. The human warship didn't just fight, it dominated. Its weapons tore through the alien ship's defenses like paper, and their once proud fleet began to splinter under the pressure. The aliens had never encountered an opponent who could stand up to them like this. "Commander, the humans are not retreating. They are attacking," one of the officers reported, his voice full of shock. "They have no fear. It is as if they want to fight." Zelfar clenched his fists, his teeth gritted in frustration. "They will learn soon enough. We are the superior force." But as he watched his fleet struggle against the human warship, he couldn't help but wonder if they had made a mistake. The aliens had never faced anything like this before, and every moment of hesitation only deepened their regret. The first human warship had laid its eyes on them, and now they were paying the price. The battle had only just begun, but the situation was already spiraling out of control. The alien fleet, once confident and unchallenged, was now in chaos. Their ships, massive and powerful, were being torn apart by the human warship, the U.S. Valor. The aliens had underestimated their enemy, and now they were paying the price. Commander Zelfar stood in front of the view screen, his face twisted in anger and disbelief. His fleet was being destroyed piece by piece. The human ship, so small in comparison to their own, moved with unbelievable speed, dodging their attacks with ease and returning fire with deadly accuracy. It was as though the humans were playing a game, and the aliens were the ones losing. "We need to regroup," Zelfar shouted, his voice harsh. "Form defensive lines. Surround the human ship." But no matter what strategy the aliens tried, it seemed that the human ship was always one step ahead. Every time they tried to fire, the U.S. Valor was already gone, a ghost in the shadows of space. It felt like fighting a phantom. One of the alien officers, visibly shaken, turned to Zelfar. "Commander, the human ship is not retreating. It's attacking again. They're destroying our warships faster than we can respond." Zelfar's eyes widened. This was no longer a simple skirmish. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were fighting back with an intensity and strategy that the aliens had never seen before. The alien fleet, once proud and powerful, was now a disorganized mess, their ships scattered and desperate. "Pull back. All ships pull back," Zelfar ordered, his voice cracking with frustration. It was too late for a clean victory. They had underestimated the humans, and now they needed to survive the encounter. They had to retreat and regroup, but the damage had already been done. The human ship wasn't letting them go so easily. Without warning, The U.S. Valor launched another round of devastating attacks. Its energy beams cut through the alien lines like a hot knife through butter. And yet, despite the chaos, it moved like a predator in the wild, quick, calculated, and ruthless. As one of the alien ships, a dreadnought, attempted to make a retreat, it was struck by a powerful blast from the human warship. The explosion lit up the void of space, the debris scattering in every direction. Sci-Fi watched in horror as his best ship was obliterated in an instant. "What are we dealing with?" one of Sci-Fi's officers asked, his voice shaking. "These humans, they're not like anything we've encountered before." Sci-Fi clenched his fists. His mind raced. He had been told that humans were primitive, that their technology was behind the rest of the galaxy. Yet here they were, destroying everything the alien fleet had built in mere minutes. With each strike, the aliens lost more of their fleet, and their resolve began to break. What started as a confident assault was now a full-blown retreat. The once mighty alien forces were running, and it wasn't the humans who were retreating. It was them. Zelthar gritted his teeth. "We are not finished yet. Regroup the fleet. We will fight to the last ship if we must." But deep down, he knew the truth. They had underestimated humanity. And now, they were about to pay the ultimate price. The U.S. Valor wasn't just a ship. It was a symbol of everything humanity was: relentless, unforgiving, and unwilling to back down. The aliens had made the mistake of thinking the humans would bow before them. They were about to learn that in human hands, power was not just about strength, it was about resolve. And humanity had more than enough of that. The battle raged on, and with each passing minute, the aliens were losing more of their fleet. What had started as an easy conquest had turned into a nightmare for Commander Sci-Fi and his forces. The human warship, the U.S. Valor, had proven to be far more than they had ever anticipated. The aliens had never faced an enemy like this, one that fought with such precision, strategy, and above all, determination. Zelthar stood in the command center of his flagship, the Nizoth, his eyes locked on the view screen. The destruction of his fleet played out in real time before him. Alien ships, once proud and strong, were being torn apart by the human warship's unrelenting assault. Each blast from the U.S. Valor was like a death sentence to the alien vessels, and the aliens had no way to defend themselves. The U.S. Valor was everywhere and nowhere, striking from unexpected angles, evading their attacks with ease. "This is impossible," Zelthar muttered under his breath. "How are they doing this? How are they so strong?" His voice was barely a whisper, and the disbelief in it was clear. The Nizoth had suffered damage, its shields buckling under the force of a direct hit from the human warship. Alien officers scrambled around him, trying to assess the damage, but the situation was only growing worse. "Commander, we've lost contact with the entire left wing of the fleet," one officer reported, his voice shaking. "They're all destroyed. The humans. We know the humans." Zelthar snapped, cutting him off. "Do not speak of them like they are gods. They are nothing." But even as he said the words, the truth began to sink in. The aliens had underestimated humanity in the worst way possible. The humans weren't just fighting. They were overwhelming. Their tactics were unpredictable, their weapons powerful, and their will to win unbreakable. One by one, alien ships were destroyed. Zelthar's officers had to watch helplessly as their comrades' vessels were torn apart, each explosion a reminder of how much they had miscalculated. "They're relentless," another officer said, his voice barely audible. "It's like they won't stop until we're all gone." Zelthar clenched his fists, his knuckles turning white. "We cannot let them win. We are the superior race. They will fall. They must fall." But even as he spoke, doubt began to creep into his mind. How could they possibly defeat the U.S. Valor? The human ship was unlike any enemy the aliens had ever encountered. It wasn't just technology that made the humans strong. It was their spirit. The humans were fighters, driven by something deeper than simple survival. The alien commanders could see it in the way the U.S. Valor fought, calculated, focused, and relentless. The human ship had become a symbol of defiance, of strength in the face of overwhelming odds. The aliens had thought they could break humanity with a few simple attacks. But now it was clear the humans weren't the weak, primitive species they had assumed them to be. Zelfar's eyes narrowed as the last of the alien ships in his fleet were destroyed. The U.S. Valor was victorious. The humans had won. The galaxy would never be the same again. As Zelfar surveyed the devastation, his heart sank. He had made a grave mistake. The humans had shown the galaxy what it meant to never back down. And in that moment, the aliens realized the truth. They had underestimated humanity's power. And they would regret it for the rest of their existence. The battle was over. The once mighty alien fleet, now reduced to wreckage, drifted through space. The U.S. Valor hovered, victorious and undamaged, over the remnants of the alien ships. The humans had won, against all odds. Commander Zelfar's fleet had been shattered, and he was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered pride. Zelfar stood at the command center of the Nezoth, staring at the screen that displayed the wreckage of his fleet. His eyes burned with anger and disbelief. The humans had done what no other race had ever dared to do. They had defeated the aliens in battle. And now, they were free to do as they pleased. The alien commander clenched his fists. He couldn't let this defeat stand. The humans had shown incredible strength, but he was not ready to give up. "We will regroup," he said, his voice low but filled with resolve. "We may have lost this battle, but we are not defeated. We will learn from our mistakes, and we will return." The remaining alien ships slowly began to pull back, retreating into deep space. The Nezoth was still intact, though heavily damaged. Zelfar was determined to return to the alien homeworld and report what had happened. He would gather more forces, more ships, and they would strike back. But deep down, he knew the galaxy would never be the same. The humans had made their mark, and Zelfar would never forget the lesson they had taught him. He had thought them weak, but now he knew the truth. The humans were not to be underestimated. Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans were already celebrating their victory. News of the battle spread across the globe, and people everywhere cheered. They had done the impossible. They had defeated a powerful alien force, one that had once seemed unbeatable. And in doing so, they had proven that humanity was more than just a small, insignificant species on the edge of the galaxy. Inside the U.S. Valor, Captain John Harris and his crew were busy overseeing the damage assessment. The battle had been hard-fought, but their victory was undeniable. Captain Harris leaned back in his chair, a look of pride on his face. "We did it," he said, his voice calm but filled with satisfaction. "We showed them who we are." His first officer, Lieutenant Sarah Blake, nodded. "They'll think twice before they ever challenge us again." Harris stood up and walked over to the view screen. The wreckage of the alien ships was still visible in the distance, floating in the dark expanse of space. "We've proven something important today," he said. "The galaxy isn't just some far-off place for us. It's our home now, and no one, not even the most powerful alien fleet, can threaten us." The crew stood in silence, the weight of their victory settling in. They had fought for their survival, and they had succeeded. But they knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would regroup, and humanity would need to be ready for whatever came next. The battle had been won, but the war for the galaxy had only just begun. The humans had shown the universe their strength, and now they were ready for whatever challenge lay ahead. The U.S. Valor floated in space, its hull gleaming under the distant light of the nearby star. The battle was over, but the victory had come at a great cost. The alien fleet, once a massive and terrifying presence, had been reduced to fragments, but the humans knew this was only the beginning. The alien commanders had already retreated, but they would not forget this defeat. The humans had no illusions. They were now at the center of a galactic storm. Inside the U.S. Valor, the mood was a mix of relief and resolve. Captain Harris stood in the command center, looking out at the stars. The silence in the room was heavy, filled with the weight of what they had just accomplished. They had defeated an alien force that outnumbered them. They had survived. But now there was only one thought in Harris's mind. What comes next? Harris turned to his first officer, Lieutenant Blake. Get me a full report. How are we holding up? Blake nodded and began tapping on her console. Damage control teams are still assessing the full extent of the damage. Sir, nothing we can't fix. The crew is exhausted, but morale is high. They've never seen anything like this. Captain Harris nodded. He wasn't surprised. The human spirit was unlike anything the aliens had imagined. The humans didn't just fight to survive. They fought with everything they had. And they had won. But it wasn't just about weapons or tactics. It was about resilience. The humans had faced down a foe that had seemed invincible, and yet they had stood firm. Harris knew the key to their victory wasn't just their warships or technology. It was the unbreakable will of the human race. As the crew went about their work, Harris walked to the observation deck. He looked out into space, seeing the remnants of the alien fleet drifting in the cold, dark vacuum. The universe was vast, and humanity had barely scratched the surface. He knew that this was a moment in history, but it wasn't the end of the story. The aliens would come again. And next time, they would bring more ships, more soldiers. But the humans would be ready. Lieutenant Blake soon joined Harris on the observation deck, her face serious. Sir, the alien command center has been in communication with their remaining fleet. They've called for reinforcements. It's clear they're regrouping. We may have won this battle, but the war is far from over. Harris nodded grimly. He had expected this. We've shown them what we're made of. But we've also given them a taste of what's to come. They'll think twice before underestimating us again. We've only just begun, Blake added. Harris turned to her, a determined look in his eyes. Exactly. We'll make sure the galaxy knows who we are, and we'll make sure the aliens know that humanity doesn't back down. Ever. Back in the heart of the ship, the crew worked tirelessly to repair their vessel, knowing that their victory was only a small part of the larger picture. They had taken down a formidable alien force, but there was so much more to do. The universe had just learned about humanity's strength, and the humans weren't about to let that reputation fade. They would rebuild, refocus, and get ready for the next challenge. The aliens had underestimated humanity, and now the galaxy would know better. The humans had shown their resilience, and they were ready to face whatever came next. The warship U.S. Valor drifted in space, its engines dimming as the crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage from the fierce battle. Despite the victories and the overwhelming defeat of the alien fleet, the atmosphere on board was somber. The crew knew this was just the beginning of something much bigger. The alien forces had retreated for now, but they would not forget the humans' defiance. Captain Harris stood in the command center, gazing at the stars beyond the view screen. The hum of the ship's systems was almost peaceful compared to the chaos of the battle that had raged just hours before. Yet, the silence felt heavy. Even though they had defeated the alien invaders, there was no time to rest. "We've done it, Captain," Lieutenant Blake said from behind him. "The alien fleet has been destroyed, but they will come back. We need to be ready." Harris turned to face her, his expression hardening. "I know, but we've sent a message today. We've proven that humanity is not weak. The galaxy will have to deal with us now." Blake nodded, her eyes filled with respect and determination. "The universe may see us as small, but we just showed them we can stand up to anything. They won't forget that." The U.S. Valor had taken significant damage during the battle, but nothing the humans couldn't fix. The crew, though exhausted, worked quickly to repair the ship. Harris knew they couldn't waste time. Every repair, every moment spent getting the ship back to full strength, was a moment they needed to prepare for the alien force's return. The news of their victory spread quickly. Messages flooded in from Earth, from every corner of the human colonies. People were cheering, celebrating their survival, their triumph. The human race had fought back against an overwhelming enemy and won. But Harris couldn't shake the feeling that the victory, while significant, was just a small part of a much larger fight. The alien retreat had left behind not only wreckage, but a sense of unfinished business. The humans had proven they could defeat the aliens in battle, but the true test would come in the future. Would humanity be ready when the aliens returned in greater numbers? Would the U.S. Valor and its crew be able to withstand a second assault? "We're not done yet," Harris said quietly, more to himself than to anyone else. Blake heard him and walked over to stand beside him. "We've shown them our strength, and we'll show them again if we have to." The rest of the crew, though worn from the battle, felt the same resolve. The aliens had underestimated them. Now, they would face the consequences of that mistake. The humans would no longer be considered an insignificant species. As the crew finished their repairs, the U.S. Valor readied itself for the next steps. They had sent a clear message to the galaxy. Humanity would not be intimidated, not now, not ever. The aliens may have been forced to retreat, but the human resolve was stronger than ever. They had proven their worth in a fight, and they would stand firm in the face of whatever came next. Harris turned back to the view screen, watching as the stars drifted by. "We'll be ready," he said, his voice filled with quiet confidence. The war might not be over, but humanity had already won something far more important: the respect of the galaxy. And that would make all the difference when the aliens returned. The fight for the galaxy had just begun, but humanity was no longer a small, fragile species hiding at the edge of the stars. They had found their place among the cosmos, and they weren't about to lose it. The stars seemed to shimmer with a new light as the U.S. Valor sailed through space. The crew had completed the repairs and were now fully focused on the next stage of their mission. The victory against the alien fleet had been overwhelming, but they knew it was only a temporary triumph. The aliens had retreated for now, but the threat of their return loomed over the human race like a dark cloud. Captain Harris stood at the command center, looking out into the vastness of space. The calm of the moment was deceptive. Beyond the horizon, a storm was brewing. The humans had shown they could fight, but the real battle was just beginning. The alien fleet would surely come again, and this time they would be prepared. "We've made our point," Harris said quietly, more to himself than to anyone else. "The galaxy will never see us as weak again." Lieutenant Blake, standing nearby, gave him a nod of agreement. "The message has been sent, and the universe will know it. We've shown them that humanity doesn't back down." On Earth, the news of the victory had spread like wildfire. Messages of hope and celebration filled the airwaves. People were proud, not just because they had survived, but because they had stood tall against a much stronger foe and defeated it. Humanity had proven itself capable, not just of surviving, but of thriving in the face of danger. But even as humanity celebrated, Harris knew they couldn't afford to become complacent. The aliens had underestimated them once, but next time, they would not make the same mistake. They would come back stronger, more prepared. The humans had proven their strength, but now it was time to prepare for the real fight ahead. "We need to build on this," Blake said, her voice firm with determination. "We've got a chance to show the galaxy what we can do. But we need more ships, more soldiers, more alliances. We can't do this alone." Harris nodded. "I agree. It's time to reach out. We need to make sure the galaxy knows we are here, and we won't back down." Back on Earth, the human governments began to unite in ways they had never done before. The victory had sparked a wave of cooperation. Nations and colonies, once divided, now began to form new alliances. The shared purpose of survival and strength brought them together, and they knew that only by standing united could they face the future. In space, the U.S. Valor continued to patrol, its mission clear: protect Earth, prepare for the next battle, and show the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. The humans had proved their resilience, but now they had to prove that they could hold their ground. The U.S. Valor was not just a ship, it was a symbol of humanity's resolve, of their refusal to bow before anyone. As the ship sailed through the cosmos, Harris and Blake watched the stars ahead. The universe was vast, and their fight had just begun. But one thing was certain. Humanity had shown its power, and the aliens would think twice before underestimating them again. "Next time," Harris said, his voice calm but filled with quiet confidence, "they'll know who we are, and they'll regret ever crossing us." The crew of the U.S. Valor stood together, united in purpose. The universe had learned an important lesson today. Humanity would not be conquered. And as they prepared for the future, they knew they had already won something far more important than a single battle. They had won the galaxy's respect. The news of the victory against the alien fleet spread like wildfire across Earth and its colonies. For the first time in human history, the world was united, not by fear, but by pride. The aliens had thought humanity was a weak, unimportant species. Now that image had been shattered. Humanity had shown the galaxy its strength, and the message was clear. No one, not even the most powerful alien forces, could break them. On Earth, leaders from every corner of the planet gathered. Countries that had once been rivals now stood side by side, working together to build a stronger future. The alien threat had been the spark that ignited the unity among humans, and they knew they could not afford to lose this newfound sense of cooperation. Captain Harris watched the reports from Earth, his face filled with a mixture of satisfaction and resolve. The victory against the aliens was important, but now the real work began. The U.S. Valor had been a symbol of their strength, but the rest of humanity needed to prepare for what was coming. The alien fleet was not gone. They had only retreated to regroup. And next time, they would return in full force. "Captain," Lieutenant Blake said, approaching him with a tablet in hand, "the leaders are calling for an emergency summit. They want to form a coalition. Military, scientific, economic, everything. They want humanity to be ready for the future." Harris turned to face her, his expression hardening. "They're right. We need to work together, or we won't stand a chance when the aliens return." Blake nodded. "The aliens saw our power, but they also saw our unity. And if we stay united, they won't be able to divide us again." The meeting on Earth was a turning point in human history. Leaders from every nation and colony gathered in a virtual conference, each one offering support, resources, and expertise. The idea of forming a single united front had seemed impossible just a few months ago. But now, with the reality of the alien threat hanging over them, they had no choice but to cooperate. At the summit, the leaders discussed everything from military strategies to technological advancements. They agreed that the next steps were clear: build a stronger defense, enhance human weapons, and prepare for the worst. They also agreed to share knowledge, pooling their resources for the common good. The fear of another alien invasion made the old divisions between countries seem irrelevant. Now, humanity was focused on survival, on ensuring that they would never again be caught off guard. Back on the U.S. Valor, Harris and Blake knew that this was just the beginning. The coalition was a significant step, but it was not enough. The U.S. Valor could only do so much. More ships, more technology, and more human resources were needed. They began making plans to train soldiers, improve their fleet, and prepare humanity for the challenges ahead. But even as the preparations began, Harris couldn't shake the feeling that there was something else they needed to do. Humanity had shown its strength in battle, but now they needed to show the galaxy their resolve. It wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving. The aliens had underestimated humanity, and the humans would make sure they would never make that mistake again. As the U.S. Valor moved through space, readying itself for the next stage of their mission, Harris looked out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, but humanity had found its place in it, and together They would face whatever came next, united, strong, and unstoppable. The alien fleet had retreated, but the damage had been done. The once proud alien empire had faced a devastating defeat at the hands of a species they had underestimated, humanity. As the remains of the alien ships drifted in the silent emptiness of space, the empire was left to reflect on the cost of their arrogance. They had thought the humans would be easy prey. Instead, they had encountered an enemy that fought back with strength, ingenuity, and resilience. Commander Xelthar sat in his war room, his eyes fixed on the glowing display of the shattered fleet. His once confident demeanor had faded. The Nezov, his flagship, was still intact, but it was barely operational. The repairs would take months, if not longer. And even then, he wasn't sure if the fleet would ever be the same. The human warship, the U.S. Valor, had proven more than a match for them. In a single battle, the alien empire had lost more than they ever thought possible. "We were wrong," Xelthar muttered, his voice filled with frustration. "We thought we could crush them easily." One of his officers, a young alien lieutenant, stood nearby, watching the wreckage of their once mighty fleet. "Commander, we have underestimated them. The humans are unlike anything we've encountered before. They fought with a strength we didn't expect. We need to rethink our strategy." Xelthar's grip tightened around the armrests of his chair. He knew the truth. The humans had shown the galaxy what they were capable of. The aliens had always prided themselves on their superior technology and tactics, but against the humans, it hadn't been enough. The U.S. Valor had destroyed their ships with incredible precision, leaving them scrambling for a way to respond. "They are resilient," Xelthar admitted, his voice low. "They are more than just primitive creatures. They are warriors, and they will fight again." He stared at the screen, which displayed a galaxy map. Humanity's territory was growing, and the message had spread. The humans weren't just a threat. They were a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy had already seen their power, and now they would have to face the consequences. The aliens could not afford another defeat. "Prepare for the worst," Xelthar said, turning to his officers. "We will return. But next time, we will be ready. We will bring our full might to bear. And we will make sure humanity never dares to defy us again." The alien empire had learned a hard lesson. The humans had proven that they would not bow to anyone, not to alien invaders, not to any force that tried to take what was theirs. The aliens had thought they were invincible. They had thought the humans were weak. But in the cold silence of space, as the alien ships limped back to their homeworld, the Empire understood one undeniable truth. Humanity would never be underestimated again. Xelthar stood and turned away from the display. He knew what needed to be done. The Empire would regroup, rebuild, and return stronger than ever. But the human victory had already sent ripples through the galaxy. It was clear now. Humanity was not just a species to be conquered. They were a species that could change the course of the galaxy. The aliens had learned their lesson the hard way. And now they would regret ever crossing paths with humanity.